Welcome to the Healthy Skin Show with Jennifer Fugo, where we're flipping everything you've been told about your chronic skin issues upside down and connecting you with alternative solutions your dermatologist never told you about.
Welcome back to episode number 290 of the Healthy Skin Show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a very shared experience of seeking out people with your diagnosis and hoping that their solution will also work for you. You might stumble across someone in a Facebook group, message board, or even a website that you immediately want to know what they did to achieve their results. And because logic states that if the steps they've taken worked for them, then these steps must work for you too. Right? Not so fast. Before you get your hopes up, it's important to consider a few factors first so that you can manage your expectations and better judge if the proposed steps or intervention are a waste of time or worth a try. I say this after working with countless clients who've tried it all, and I can confirm that they've tried every option they came across online to heal their skin on their own, only to feel like a bigger failure and thoroughly stumped as to why it didn't work for them, or maybe even made them worse. I've mentioned on the show before in episode 223 that diet changes often suggested for various chronic skin conditions, as well as even just eating cleaner or healthier, can make your skin worse. And that's why I want to address this and remind you that if things don't work, it doesn't mean that you're broken or a failure. As you might know, I used to have dyshidrotic eczema and shared about it in episode 63. While some people appreciate me talking about my experience, many email me upset that I didn't share exactly what I did to get the rashes to stop. I don't understand why you just can't tell me what you did, they'll write me. And there are two reasons why I haven't shared what I did to stop my eczema. One has to do with the fact that I had no idea what I was doing back in 2016 and 2017. As I obviously know so much more about eczema now in 2023, I don't recommend doing what I did those years ago to my clients. The second reason has to do with something called sample size. In research, the sample size of a study or the number of participants who were involved in receiving the intervention or protocol really matters. Small studies of 5 or 30 or even 100 people may not be as reliable as a study that consists of 500, 1,200, or more than 5,000 participants. So when you're reading about a single person's experience following a diet or a protocol like my own experience with dyshidrotic eczema, you're literally hearing the outcome of a sample size of 1. Or in research, we call that N equals 1. Because there's so much variability between people who share the same exact diagnosis, it's impossible to expect what worked for one will work for everyone. A larger sample size means that we can put more trust in the efficacy of the intervention or protocol, though as always, results can vary from person to person based on a variety of factors. This is why you will never hear me say, I healed my eczema, so I'll show you what I did so you can heal too. My personal journey resolving eczema is literally a sample size of 1. To even remotely imply that following what I personally did will yield the same exact results for you is disingenuous. So when I get these emails now asking why I won't just tell everyone what I did, I respond with a question. Given that this was over 6 years ago, and that my knowledge base is so much greater at this point in time, wouldn't you be more interested in knowing what I would recommend now rather than knowing the messy, uneducated protocol that I threw together years ago that I would never use in practice with clients today? Now that I have so much clinical experience under my belt with hundreds of chronic skin rash cases, I can confidently tell you that what I did then absolutely will not work for most people. And if I were given a choice, I wouldn't even follow what I did 6 years ago. Because of the great variation between individuals, exposures, infections, hormones, nutrient levels, genetics, etc. This explains why doing what someone else did may not actually work or could even make you worse. Another point to consider is that having the same diagnosis as someone else doesn't mean that you have the same root causes, triggers, or problems as them. And this is one thing that I've talked a lot about on the Healthy Skin Show. I dove into this in episode 209 to help you figure out your underlying root causes, because focusing heavily on a diagnosis alone is extremely short-sighted. After working with hundreds of cases in my clinical practice, I've learned that people who share the same exact diagnosis don't always have the same root causes. And to explain my point a little bit more clearly, let's take a look at 3 individuals who all have been diagnosed with eczema. One of these people might find that cleaning up their diet and identifying a food allergy, let's just say eggs in this particular example, leads to skin rash clearance. The second person, following the same exact protocol, actually gets worse. It turns out their root causes include vitamin deficiencies, major gut dysbiosis, and liver detox challenges. And the third person doesn't get any better with the same diet-based intervention because their root cause combo includes severe hypothyroidism, mineral imbalances, and blood sugar challenges. Each one of these people has the same exact diagnosis, and yet their root causes are all different. And yes, this even applies to the more granular skin diagnoses beyond just something like eczema or psoriasis. Things like nummular eczema, dyshidrotic eczema, scalp psoriasis, plaque psoriasis, guttate psoriasis, etc. This is why I encourage all of the listeners to use my Skin Rash Root Cause Finder Guide to go deeper than the diagnosis and identify your root cause combo. If you don't, you might get stuck doing what I call throwing darts in the dark, hoping to possibly hit the bullseye. And I get it, because there is an allure in thinking that someone else has found a shortcut. It's also very admirable for someone who has gotten better to want to share what solutions or products worked for them. But that's the problem. It worked for them. And their sample size is, you guessed it, 1. Without working with a larger pool of people and understanding the bigger picture, it can be really easy to latch on to the next thing you read about online. I'm not saying don't give things a try, but I do think we all need to be cautious of falling into the mindset of thinking that there's just one thing that you're missing. So maybe this person has your missing piece. When in reality, they know nothing of you, your overall health picture, genetics, exposures, and history, and may lack greater context about why something would or wouldn't work. And this is all to help you manage your expectations so that should something not work or even make your skin worse, it doesn't send you into a spiral that ultimately leads you to feel even worse about your situation. I shared about this on Instagram recently and received nearly 100 messages that this explained so much, which is why I thought sharing it here with you would also be insightful. So if you've got any questions or thoughts or an experience to share about this topic, head on over to skinterrupt.com/290 so we can keep the conversation going. And then make a point to share this episode with your fellow Skin Rash warriors, because so many people fall into that mindset that I was saying, like throwing darts in the dark, hoping that this one thing will help, and then feeling so dejected and even depressed when it doesn't. This may provide them clarity about what's going on and perhaps provide greater insight about what they actually need to do to support not only their skin, but also their health. And before you head off for your day, take a moment to rate and review the Healthy Skin Show, and then hit that subscribe button so you can tune in each week for new research, clinical tips and strategies, personal stories, and the inspiration you need on your journey to rebuild healthy skin. And then let's connect. Over on Instagram, I'm at Jennifer Fugo. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I look forward to digging deeper with you in the next episode.